everyone to 284 News. My name is Javon Wilson.
I'm Kamal Haynes.
And I'm Ron Grant.
And we are so thrilled and happy to be coming to you live out of the beautiful British Virgin Islands. The content continues via our website, 284media.com.
In today's news, the death of a 7th District Constituent leaves the community in mourning as district representatives remember Gavin G Money Richards for his positive impact in the East End community. And we also see one male reportedly injured and hospitalized following a marine boat accident yesterday. And also the BVI government has so far spent approximately $500,000 to expatriate illegal immigrants and also revealed plans to build a local detention center. And also joining us live in the studio to speak on the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-based Violence initiative is coordinator from the Office of Gender Affairs. But viewers, before we get to these stories, let's take a quick commercial break.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a brand new season of The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, a show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. It doesn't always involve suits and, bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons that translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded men. This season, I'm taking you on an entirely different journey, from chefs to dancers, philanthropists, communications specialists, and much more. I'm heading outside in the field to share the journey of some of the BVI's best and brightest men. From East End to West End, Bojangada, Jackson Lake, not forgetting Antigua. Our Virgin Islands gentlemen are doing the damn thing, and I'm so proud. Get ready to reason, reflect, and redirect. We are the movers and shakers of this generation, and we ain't afraid to show it. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, Season 3 by yours truly, Ron Grant, raising a generation of greatness.
Welcome everyone, it's Tuesday, November 30th, 2021. I'm Kamal Haynes, coming to you live from the beautiful British Virgin Islands. Happy Tuesday to one and all viewers, but before we start today's newscast, I want to wish my country of birth, Barbados, a very happy independence as they celebrate 55 years of independence and obviously the first day of becoming a republic since midnight in the wee hours of this morning. Well, viewers, we start today's newscast on a sad note. Well, the sudden passing of Long Look resident Gavin G Money Richards has left the 7th and 8th districts in a state of mourning following an alleged tragic accident which occurred sometime on the day of November 23rd. Well, according to reports, 38-year-old Richards fell from an apartment porch and sustained critical injuries before being rushed to the Dr. D. Orlando Smith Hospital, where he subsequently succumbed to those injuries yesterday, Monday, November 30th. Well, speaking on the passing was District Representative and Deputy Premier Dr. Natalia Wheatley, who said Richards was a close cousin and someone who supported him throughout his political career.
Well, I just want to extend condolences to his mother and his brothers and sisters. He has a very big family, and both of us are close cousins. Basically sharing the same great-grandparent, which is we part of the Thomas clan in Langlock. Yeah, and he was a strong supporter of mine and a good friend of mine. And I'm just saddened by his passing. And, it's a loss for the Langlock community, but we'll have to see how we can stand by each other in these difficult times.
Well, Dr. Wheatley also said that Richards would be most remembered for his positive personality and someone who worked hard for everything he wanted.
From me, he was a very pleasant person, very pleasant-natured person, positive person. He was very supportive. And he was a very hard worker. Anxious to work, to do jobs. He was very ambitious, in terms of wanting to get his trucking business up and running and to be active.
Well, meanwhile, 8th District Representative and Opposition Leader Marlon Penn shared similar sentiments to Dr. Wheatley on Richards' character. They described Richards as someone who went the extra mile for the community members in need.
I think it's very a sad time for the Richardson family and just in general the Eastern Island community. We lost Gavin Richardson, a.k.a. we all know him as G Money. He was just a regular staple in the community, somebody who just loved life, loved people. He was always loyal to his friends, his family. He was one of those persons that would go the extra mile to help anyone who was in need. Always was there to lend a helping hand. He had a little trucking business. He worked for persons, even if they don't have money, he would still move their stuff, help them out, and that's just the kind of person that he was. He was just a kind-spirited person, just a big heart. Jim Money, he and I were very close. He was very close to our family. Him and my siblings grew up together as brothers, actually, and he was always a regular fixture around my parents' home. Somebody just an overall good individual. And it really will be a sad time. It's a sad time for everyone in the Eastern Island community, a sad time as well for his family, his mom, Elizabeth, who was mourning him now, and his brothers and his sisters, and his children as well. We can't forget his children who have lost a father as well. It's a very difficult time for everyone and everyone in the community. I know he will be missed sorely by the persons in the community because he was always this cheerful spirit, always someone, like I said, who's always there for the people in the community, always giving of himself, his services, anything that he has. It's just a really, really good guy.
Well, viewers, we here at 284 Media send our condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Richards. Moving on, viewers, to another sad story where one male was reportedly injured following a marine accident in the vicinity of the Fish Bay area on Tortola, which resulted in the male having to be rushed to the Dr. D. Orlando Smith Hospital. While the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force confirmed the report, stating that investigations are ongoing into the matter. Well, our news team reached out to the operations manager of the Virgin Islands Search and Rescue, Phil Aspinall, who said advisor received a 911 dispatch call of the incident almost immediately after it occurred. However, he said by the time his crew got on scene, there were already other boats assisting the persons involved in the accident.
4:48, I got a call from somebody at the Skelton Bay Lot area. They'd just seen it, so it came through 911, which just patched through to us at 4:48. We mobilized and went out there, but there were already about 10 other boats on scene when we got there, and they were the ones that scooped up the two people, and one was fine and dandy, and he stayed there with his boat, and then the other guy was rushed to the pier park, and the ambulance was waiting for him. But again, zero involvement from us other than the call. Getting there, we were 10 minutes, I think we were on scene, but again, I guess there were more than enough boats out there at the time, either they were racing or not, or whether not for printing, but they were probably racing, so there was already boats out there with them when it happened, you know what I mean? So they literally just scooped the two fellas up and took the one that was injured straight to the dock, met the ambulance, and the other guy stayed out there to help salvage his boat, I guess.
Well, Aspinall said it is unclear as to what really transpired that led to the boating accident. He said until an account is given from the two persons who were involved in the accident, the stories being circulated will only be hearsay.
No, we tried to ask the fellow. I mean, obviously the driver was in the hospital and he's not talking to me. That once it gets to the hospital, then I have to sort of dim it to the police, and they have to do their investigation. You know what I mean? So, but the guys that told me it was I guess he was going pretty fast, but and he came off a very bad wave, and the boat just rolled over, So, But again, that's just hearsay from talking to the other kids that were on scene when we got there, So the only person that will be able to tell you what really happened, I guess, was the driver, and he's at the hospital still, I think. I believe he's all right, but obviously if you're going at speed, then when you hit the water, it's like hitting concrete.
Well, viewers, that was the operations manager of the Virgin Islands Search and Rescue, Mr. Phil Aspinall. Well, viewers, up next, we also see the Barbados transitioning to a republic. We have that and more in terms of details regarding that very ceremonious occasion right after a word from our sponsors.
You value traditions. You value music. You value education. Family.
I love you.
Service.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love. Life. At Popular, we're committed to you and everything our community values. For the things you value the most, count on us. Popular.
Well, welcome back, viewers. Well, Barbados is now officially a parliamentary republic, becoming the fourth Caribbean community country to replace Britain's Her Majesty's the Queen Elizabeth as its head of state. Well, the country officially made its transition to a republic on the 55th anniversary of Barbados' political independence from Britain in the wee hours of Tuesday, November 30th. With a move to the Republic saw former Governor General Dame Sandra Mason being sworn in as the island's first president with a 21-gun salute. Let's take a look.
I, Sandra Prunella Mason, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Barbados according to law, so help me God. I, Sandra Prunella Mason, do swear that I will well and truly serve Barbados in the office of President, so help me God.
Well, speaking on the historic occasion, the new president, who was bestowed with the Order of Freedom of Barbados, said that the island has now started to embark on a new journey which will allow the country to seize the full substance of its sovereignty.
It was from this vision and understanding that we constructed the foundation for our new nation, and with it, the core values and guiding principles of independent Barbados. To this, we owe our identity and our triumphs as a people. And as cautioned by our first Prime Minister, the Right Excellent Errol Walton Barrow, we ought no longer to be found loitering on colonial premises. In 1966, we were seeking to define ourselves, our national identity, and to stamp our place in the world. Since independence, our heroes and our humble citizens, our crews and passengers have built an international reputation anchored on our characteristics, our national values, our stability, and our successes. Drawing on the lessons of those intervening years, possessing a clear sense of who we are and what we are capable of achieving, in the year 2021, we now turn our vessel's bow towards the new republic. We do this so that we may seize the full substance of our sovereignty. For decades, we have had discourse and debate about the transition of Barbados to a republic. Today, debate and discourse have become action. Today, we set our compass to a new direction, girded by the successes of the last 55 years, buoyed by the confidence garnered from our triumphs and accomplishments, committed to country and to each other, and motivated to press confidently and boldly forward for the sake of our nation and for present and future generations.
Well, also in attendance was His Royal Highness Prince Philip, who said during the ceremony that the creation of Barbados' Republic also marks a point on a continuum, a milestone on the long road that Barbadians have not only traveled, but which they have also built.
The creation of this republic offers a new beginning, but it also marks a point on a continuum, a milestone on the long road you have not only traveled, but which you have built. From the darkest days of our past and the appalling atrocity of slavery, which forever stains our history, the people of this island forged their path with extraordinary fortitude. Emancipation, self-government, and independence were your waypoints. Freedom, justice, and self-determination have been your guides. Your long journey has brought you to this moment, not as your destination, but as a vantage point from which to survey a new horizon.
Well, viewers, Prince Philip was also bestowed with the Order of the Freedom of Barbados. Well, he made it clear that despite the change in the island's constitutional status, its healthy relationship between the United Kingdom and Britain will remain the same. And among the many dignitaries present at the ceremony were the island's national hero and outstanding cricketer Sir Garfield Sobers, as well as the music mogul and billionaire Robin Rihanna Fenty, who's obviously, viewers, we would have carried that story this morning on our online media site, where we would have broken the news that Rihanna will be Barbados' 11th national hero. She will be the second female national hero, being that of one of two persons alive being a national hero in Barbados, which is a very, very pivotal achievement, a very pivotal award in Barbados. So we want to congratulate Rihanna for that milestone achievement. So she will be she is basically a role model for a lot of persons presently, but for the Barbadian public, she is somewhat, she is basically the role model, and she's being awarded for such for future generations to come. So viewers, Barbados joins Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago and Dominica in attaining Republican status after gaining their independence from Britain back in 1966. Well, up next, we have joining us live in studio the coordinator from the Office of Gender Affairs, Tara Morgan, to speak on the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and also about wearing the color orange to raise awareness of gender violence amongst adults and children. Well, we get to this interview when 284 News return.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Well, welcome back, viewers. As promised, I have with me today in studio a very special guest from the Office of Gender Affairs. She is coordinator of the Gender Affairs Office, Tara Morgan, who's here to basically speak on the protection of women and children in observance of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Welcome, Ms. Morgan.
Thank you for having me.
We would have heard of the many initiatives that your department is rolling out for this 16 days of activism. We are on day 6 presently. Can you just speak about what this 16 days of activism means? I know this is basically in the 3rd decade of celebrating this particular initiative.
Yes. The 16 Days of Activism started over 30 years ago by the Women Leadership Group. And the reason it started was because of what was happening against women and girls in especially war-torn areas or even in their regular day-to-day life. And there was a call to set aside a time in which focus is placed on the protection of women and girls. And I know persons will say, what happened to the men and boys? Yes, the men and boys are at the table, they're a part of the discussion, but the focus is on women and girls, because in most cases when cases are reported of domestic violence, gender-based violence, it's normal little woman that is the victim or the girl child. And so that's why the focus is on. So as you said, rightfully, we're in the 6 days because we started on November 25, which is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women and Girls. And the time will run all the way to December 10 with Human Rights Day, which we hope will also be a day to remember women and girls, all persons who have lost their life due to violence.
And what are some of the things your department have been doing over these last few days to help to push this message across the territory?
Well, one of the main things we're doing is what we're doing now. We're trying to get the message out there. We're trying to get the message out there for persons to take action, because like the theme says for this year, it's Orange the World, End Violence Against Women and Girls. No, not tomorrow, but no. And so what we're trying to do is to get persons to be proactive, because yes, measures should be taken at the governmental level, but the community level and at the individual level. And a lot of times we tend to focus on what the governmental and the community level is doing, but what are we doing as an individual? So this year we're trying to drive home the focus for let us take proactive measures at the individual level. So information, we're putting out the information out there, and we're asking persons to take the information and to use it wisely, such as what is in the Domestic Violence Protocol, what is in the Domestic Violence Act, what is in the National Policy for Gender Equity and Equality. Be proactive. Let us go see what our rights are and take action to protect ourselves.
And I know one of the things that have been, one of the messages that would have came out to through part of this campaign would have been the fact of the correlation between COVID-19, the pandemic, and that of gender violence, especially in the territory. Could you speak to the rise, or somewhat the rise in gender-based violence since the advent of COVID-19? We obviously know with COVID-19, a lot of persons had to somewhat isolate and quarantine for a long period of time. I know a lot of couples would have been in one house, one space, basically for prolonged periods than usually expected, and as a result, in some unfortunate circumstances, it would have resulted in somewhat of statistics to add to the gender violence, gender-based violence. So can you speak to that and also give reference to that of how it has been seen or reported in the BVI?
Okay, fortunately for us in the BVI, we did not have a spike in reports during the lockdown period for COVID-19. However, that does not say that there wasn't an increase. What it says is that maybe because of the situation persons found themselves in due to the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdowns, persons, it would have made their life more difficult if they reported. So persons probably decided against reporting for their own safety. However, what you find is that during COVID-19, cases would tend to escalate because persons are in a confined space, like you pointed out, and a lot of persons would escape in the days by going to school, by going to work, because what we do want to stress is that gender-based violence is not only in intimate partner relationships, it's in family relationships, it also affects the elderly, it affects children. And so, there are children who may be met with more exposed to more violence in the home setting because they're locked down. There may be elderlies, there may be family members, not necessarily an intimate partner relationship, who may have been exposed, because some persons, their only ventilation space would have been to go out and to be safe in their work environment or among others. When persons probably consider, if I report, where do I go? What do I do? Some persons would have probably taken that into consideration and not report. So although we did not, like I said, we did not have a spike in reported cases of gender-based violence during the lockdown or pandemic here, it does not say that we're saying, oh, there was just peace and love and harmony within the home setting. But we did have a few cases reported, and even now, going forward for this year, we have already started the year, and to the earlier part of the year, we have over 80 cases reported of domestic violence, and in most of those cases the victim is the female. So we see there is need for concern, we see that there is things that we need to do, and there's still a need for protection of our women and girls.
You just mentioned 80 cases reported so far already for the year. Can you just, I know you may not have the particular statistics at hand, but of your memory, can you account to what does this particular number mean when in comparison to the previous years?
What this number means in comparison to the other years is that we are still seeing too many cases happening, and over the years we will have rise and fall. So this number, as you can see, is already high for this year compared to last year. As you said, I don't have the figures right in front of me, and I'm not a member of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, which is the ones which present us with the data, and so they may be best able to speak to it. But from what we know is that we see a consistent trend where it's normally topped off or just a little increase going. So we are a little concerned.
And I know you touched on a very interesting topic when you mentioned that the gender-based violence isn't always in relationships. It's also for those persons in families. We come from a Caribbean background. We come from a Caribbean society where, parents believe in disciplining children. So what would you say for those children who feel like, oh, well, my mom or my dad is abusing me? Maybe they're going a little too far in terms of how they go about their methods of disciplining their child. What is the particular guideline for such?
Well, as it relates to that, children, I think, will always feel as if they're being pressured or being disciplined too much. However, what I would suggest, if you feel that you are being abused or you're in an abusive situation, find a responsible adult to make a report to. It's mandatory that once a report is made, they have to report it to the proper authorities. In the school system, I know in the government school system, there are guidance counselors in those systems, and once you go to them, they will know the proper channel to use to speak up or to help. In the other systems, if you have a responsible adult that you can speak to, someone you can confide in, speak to them and ask them that they should know the appropriate channels for persons to make further reports. Children are extremely vulnerable for so many reasons, and it's easy for persons to take disadvantage of them and for them also to feel helpless. And so once they feel any at all like they're helpless or in a position where they may bring greater harm, persons may bring greater harm to them, please to find someone to report. The police are there, the family and juvenile unit. If you don't have contact for them, you can call the regular number for the police and they will get you through to them.
Well, for those persons who are asking what are those numbers, there's 311. You can call the police directly at 311 or the Social Development Department Family Support Network at 468-3650 or the Office of Gender Affairs at 468-2234 for psychosocial support. And before we go, just talk about how critical psychosocial support is for those persons going through these, very harsh, dramatic, life-changing events such as gender violence, because we do know the impact that it can have on not only children but adults and persons who are basically victims of such relationships.
Okay, psychosocial support is extremely important. Why? Because a lot of times when we're in the cases of suffering from gender-based violence, persons sometimes don't even recognize that they're in this situation, or persons do not recognize if they are the perpetrators or they are the survivors. What is triggering this or causing it? With psychosocial support from professionals, you are able to see the triggers of what's causing it and how best to deal with it. You learn methods that you can use to get out of situation that may escalate to a violent situation, and you also learn how to protect yourself, what best to do and what best not to do. So psychosocial support is extremely important, because if you lose yourself, it might be hard to find it back.
Oh, great advice indeed shared to my viewers and the viewers in the region and hopefully internationally. I want to thank you, Ms. Morgan, for your time, obviously, in spreading the word.
I want to say one more thing.
Oh, you want to add something else? Oh,
yes.
Oh, sure, of course.
So we're still in the 60 days of activism, and we're coming up soon. We're going to have a forum. We had a discussion on the 25th, as you can see aired on the government webpage, with adults about what it means to be in a gender-based violence situation, how to deal with that conflict. But we don't want it just to be for the adults, so we want to also advocate for the youths. And so on the 7th we will be doing one for the young people. So the flyers are out there. Look on the government webpage, look on the Ministry of Youth Education and Youth webpage, look on the Office of Gender Affairs webpage. You'll see the flyer out there. Young persons, come, speak up, tell us what it is for you, if you have ever experienced any form of gender-based violence, and how can we assist you best.
Great advice indeed. And viewers, don't forget to call 311 for those persons who feel like they're in a situation and need to contact the police for such inquiries. And also the Social Development Department and the Family Support Network at 468-3650. And obviously you can also contact the Office of Gender Affairs at 468-2234 for psychosocial support. Well, viewers, I want to thank you, Ms. Ms. Morgan, for your time. Obviously in spreading the word. It's great to get the message out here for those persons who are concerned and want to hear this. You know, a lot of persons welcome this message because some don't know that there are systems out there to help in such situations. So I want to thank you very much. So viewers, that's Ms. Morgan from the Office of the Gender Affairs. She is the coordinator. I want to thank you, viewers, for joining me today. That's all we have for today's newscast, viewers. Be sure to follow us at 284 Media on Facebook and 284 BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Kamal Haynes. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you for joining us.